In this video, we'll be going over your APEEC assignment in detail and looking at the assignment description. In order to access this information, please go to Module 7 and click on the Assessments tab. You'll scroll down through the assignment prep instruction information until you get to the APEEC Effective Classroom Environments tab. In this tab, you'll see some basic information about the assignment, including how many points it is, which is 40, and how much of a percentage it is of your grade. This assignment is 12% of your grade and is not considered a critical task. Below that, you'll see some information that will help you complete the assignment and give you some more details about exactly what I'm looking for when you complete this assignment. You'll see that there's a link for you to download and view the complete instructions of the assignment. That's the link that we'll be looking at in this video. In another video, we'll be taking a look at the APEEC rubric and the APEEC template, and I'll be posting a video going over the APEEC examples that I provided for you. I'm going to click on the complete instructions now. Please note that I'm on my iPad, so the formatting might be a little bit different than what you'll see on a desktop computer. On a desktop, this would download as a Word document that you'd be able to open and look at. Again, you'll see the assignment information at the top of the screen, 40 points and 12% of your grade. You'll also see some APEEC information here that will give you some insight into exactly what the paper should look like. In this paper, you'll be visiting a classroom on 2 separate occasions or for 1 complete day. This should be for at least 6 hours. And during the classroom visit, you'll be looking at and recording observations about information from your APEEC book. Remember that you're not doing the complete APEEC assessment, but you're only doing one section that's been assigned to you. That's in the Assessment tab information on the previous screen. After you've done your observation, you'll then give your classroom an APEEC rating using the information in the book on how to rate your classroom. Remember that there's a PowerPoint in Module 4 that helps you remember how to grade. And in that module discussion, there's actually an example of a correct APEEC rating that you should refer back to. In general, we tend to give teachers more benefit of the doubt, but we can only rate exactly what we see in the classroom. So if you have not seen it in the classroom or the teacher has not told you that they do it in the classroom, you cannot give them credit for it on the APEEC rating. The first part of this assignment is a 3 to 4 page word process summary that will be written to talk about the things that you observed in the classroom, as well as to give an analysis of the classroom environment through the APEEC assessment. You'll also, in part of this section, give recommendations for effective improvement. You're going to create separate subheadings for each of these subcategories and give your rating and your rationale for your rating in each of these categories. There's also questions that will guide your summary at the end, and we'll look more into that when we look into the template that I provided for you. You have some questions for reflection. In your summary, you'll be looking at these questions as a guiding point for your reflection to make sure that you're really thinking deeply about the classroom, any recommendations that you would provide, and doing some deeper thinking about whether or not you think the classroom is effective or what changes need to be made. So the questions for reflection are, number 1, what would you say about the overall area you observed? In this section, I'm looking for your opinion. So in the first section, when you're giving your rating, you will not be giving any opinions. You'll be giving only facts. What your rating scale was and why you gave that rating scale, what you saw in the classroom, and what indicators you used in order to give that information, to give that rating more specifically. In this question, you'll be giving your opinion, your overall opinion of what you observed in the classroom. Did you like the classroom or not like it? Did you think that it was effective? Getting into question number 2, talking about why or why not it was effective. So it could be that something in the physical environment wasn't allowing students to use it correctly, or was prohibiting effective classroom instruction. You want to talk really about what is happening in the classroom and was it working or not. Question 3 is, do you feel the environment was inclusive? There's some information about inclusivity in your textbook chapters, as well as in the APEEC assessment book. And you'll want to give some rationale here. When you look at your rationale for questions 2 and 3, you definitely want to be using some resources from your textbook, either the APEEC book or the text from the class. You could also use a journal article or information you find on the internet. Just make sure that it is a reliable source that you're using. Question 4 says, what have you personally learned from your observation? This is really showing what kind of growth you've had as a learner through this observation and write-up. This could be something that you didn't really understand needed to be in your classroom, but through use of the APEEC book, now you understand how important it is for your classroom environment. But it's really your reflection, and I'm looking for you to dig deeply into what kinds of things you've learned through your understanding through the class, through the textbook, through APEEC, on effective classroom environments. So make sure that you're thorough in this section and that you're really showing me that you've learned some information. The last question is how you will use this learning in the future during student teaching and in your own classroom. So reflect on what are some of the things that you saw in the classroom that you thought worked or didn't work, and your course readings. And then tell me, what is it that you really have taken away from this experience that will influence how you do things in your future classroom? Lastly, you'll need to include a letter with a teacher's signature that you got while you were doing your observation. That letter is referenced in your APEEC prep instruction information. You can find the link there. You'll need to make sure that you're uploading that document into your APEEC information as well as your paper when you're doing your write-up. And lastly, we'll take a look at what to upload and your wiki entry, which is part of this assignment. So what to upload. When you're finished with this assignment, you'll want to upload your completed summary, your ratings from your observation. So basically what I'm looking for here is notes that you've taken. This will act as a piece that can make sure that you were in the classroom. It's an accountability piece. So your ratings from the observations, this can be in your APEEC book or notes that you've taken. You will want to upload your personal reflection and the questions identified in your APEEC summary, your letter with signature and times of your visit, and you want to make a Word document that includes your wiki post. This assignment requires that you post to PBWorks in the wiki that we did when we did our Making Meaning from the Past assignment. You will want to copy and paste that information into a Word document just like you did for Making Meaning from the Past, and submit your work through the APEEC observation link that is in the Assessments tab in Module 7. So for your wiki entry, which is the last piece of this assignment, you're not reinventing the wheel here. You're taking information from your paper and you're going to put it into wiki form so that you and the people in your group are really giving others some information and some insight into what kinds of information your section of the APEEC covers and things they need to know. So in your small group, you're all focusing on the same aspect of the APEEC assessment, and you'll be able to look closely at others' sections of the APEEC to get a picture of how the whole APEEC assessment looks and things that may have tripped up teachers along the way in those sections. So in your wiki should include a summary of what your area included and the subcategories. Remember that not everyone looked as closely into your subcategory as your group did, so give them an overview. Do not repeat what another group member has said. Your wiki should be a combination and a culmination of your knowledge, not repetitious information over and over. You're going to talk about your experience and how your experience went, including any photos that you may have taken. However, photos are not required for this assessment. But give us some insight into your classroom experience. How did it go? Were you impressed? Were you not so impressed? What did you find in your classroom that maybe surprised you? And then based on your experience from your observation in number 3, you'll talk about any recommendations that you would make. So these recommendations should be things that your teacher didn't do in the APEEC assessment, so things that they fell short on in their ratings. The APEEC talks a lot about inclusive classrooms and environments, instructional strategies, and social interactions. So really think deeply in this section about what recommendations would be good recommendations to this classroom teacher. Talk about whether or not this classroom provided effective inclusive environment. If not, what recommendations would you make to support this? So overall, what we're looking for in this assignment is we're looking for a 3 to 4 page summary with your write-up of information, your rating scale and scoring of the APEEC. We're looking for a summary that includes your questions for reflection. We're looking for the letter from your classroom teacher. All of those things uploaded to Blackboard by the due date. And then we're looking for a wiki entry, which guides your fellow classmates through the section of the APEEC that you focused on and talks about your experience scoring that section of the APEEC, as well as any recommendations that you would make based on your score.